a vacation, Senator Ted Cruz wanted to get there fast and then take it slow, leaving on a jet plane, making like Space Jam by believing he could fly. But now that this Sloop John B adventure has come to an end for the newest Beach Boy, it's time for the autopsy. So let's begin here. A historic crisis engulfs the state of Texas. It leaves millions without power, heat, and water in frigid temperatures. In fact, 5 days later, many still are suffering. Senator Ted Cruz, back home in Texas, while the Senate is in recess, with no power and no heat himself, decides it's a good time to take a trip. He packs. For the Times, his wife books seats on a flight and a room at the Ritz. They grab their passports and off they go. His office calls up local police in the middle of a crisis to use their resources to get an escort to make sure the Cruz gets through the airport. He arrives, no incognito, no baseball hat, no sunglasses, same mask that he's been known to wear.
As I was heading down there, I started to have second thoughts almost immediately because the crisis here in Texas, you need to be here on the ground. As I said, really from the moment I sat on the plane, I began really second-guessing that decision.
Second thoughts once he was on the plane, which was coincidentally around the time it probably became clear to Cruz that phones were pointed at him inside the plane and had been in the airport. In other words, when he got caught. How nigh were those second thoughts? Not very, apparently. After social media exposed his getaway, several hours of silence from Cruzland. His office ignored CNN's calls, along with those of most other news organizations. We first confirmed his voyage through people familiar with his itinerary. Then, the police confirmed it, saying that Cruz's office requested their resources during this crisis to help get Texas's traveling man through the airport.
I think it's all tone deaf. And sometimes you got to teach your kids the word no, and this probably would have been a good time to tell your kids no.
Then finally, Cruz's first response to the firestorm, a statement that read in part, quote, "With school canceled for the week, our girls asked to take a trip with friends. Wanting to be a good dad, I flew down with them last night and am flying back this afternoon." Yeah, he blamed his kids. Ice cold as a Texas snowstorm, and planning a vacation because their kids tell them to with 24 hours notice in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, damn, if that were how things really work, a lot of American families would have been to the North Pole by now. There's also just the irony of Ted Cruz, of all people, fleeing to Mexico with his family because conditions are apparently better across the border.
These are hardened, cold criminals. These are transnational, global criminal cartels. And they are vicious, violent murderers.
Cruz's initial statement is just the beginning of his storytelling. He hops a plane back and explains it this way first.
My girls wanted to take a trip with their friends and frankly get somewhere. It was warm. We took off from them down last night and we just flew back today.
He goes full Gilligan, insisting it was just a 3-hour tour. Many observers on social media pointed out that for a quick trip, that's quite the suitcase. I mean, how much room can one pair of underwear and a toothbrush and a clean shirt really take up? Alas, Cruz's fairy tale about just being a good parent would not hold up for long. Hours later, the New York Times publishes a group text with Cruz's wife. Heidi Cruz invites some friends on a Cancun getaway, travel agent style, room, board, flight number. The family's freezing, all caps, she declares. But the savage part is that someone on this group text leaked it. And you thought blaming the kids for the escape to Mexico was ice cold. All of that brings us to the part where the jig is up. So Cruz holds an impromptu news conference trying to clarify.
The plan had been to stay through the weekend with the family. That was the plan.
Then he went on a Via Culpa tour, running for cover with a strategic stop by the mothership.
You went and you took your daughters to Cancun and you came back. I think you can be a father or be the senator of Texas all at the same time and make a round trip, quick drop-off trip and come home. Well, Sean, that's right.
Quick drop-off trip. Even Cruz fact-checked Hannity on that BS.
So last night I flew down with them to the beach, and then I flew back this afternoon. I initially planned to stay through the weekend.
You know, as if this weren't bad enough, tone deaf enough, Cruz has a history of calling out others for their extracurricular activities. When Democrats violated their own COVID health guidelines, including the mayor of Boston, a Democrat who went to Cabo while advising people not to travel during the pandemic, there was Cruz slamming the mayor as a hypocrite. The mayor did apologize, but Cruz took aim. He said, quote, hypocrites, complete and utter hypocrites, and don't forget Mayor Adler, who took a private jet with 8 people to Cabo, and while in Cabo recorded a video telling Austinites to stay home if you can, this is not the time to relax. In 2017, then New Jersey Governor Chris Christie called Cruz a hypocrite for requesting federal aid after Hurricane Harvey. Why is that? Well, it's because Cruz voted against an aid package for New York and New Jersey in the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy because it was filled with pork, he said, for unrelated projects. Cruz, and you can't make this up, told Christie to, quote, go back to the beach, referencing, of course, the infamous moment when Christie closed a state beach when the government shut down, only to sunbathe on it himself. Another example during a speech in 2015 blasting the Obama administration for inaction.
If only the terrorist attacked a golf course. That might actually get the White House's attention. Holy cow!
A month before that, when he was criticizing Obama over a border crisis, Cruz went on.
This is an absentee president, that he is not focused on the people who are hurting. He's going to 2 major fundraisers where he wants to be with wealthy Democrat donors. But apparently he doesn't have time to actually go and see the border. He doesn't have time to go see the children who are suffering because of his failed policies. Earlier he was playing pool. Apparently playing in pool is a higher priority for this president than it would be to go and see the humanitarian crisis he's created.
Well, now Cruz is playing uniter, telling everyone to rise above the drama that he single-handedly caused.
You're allowed to disagree with someone politically. I wish